This drive-in theater is radioactive. Now you can hear tonight's show on your AM car radio. Turn your ignition key to the accessory position. This will not drain your car battery. Now turn on your radio and zero in on the following AM station.
The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Christina Yojimbo Henry. You can continue. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Hopefully I will bring something fun to the table that no one has heard before. And on that note, Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year. Yeah. First episode, 2024. I just want to apologize to everyone for continuously putting out the same Christmas episode every year.
My buddy Rich, I was talking to him the other day because he had listened to the previous episode. He goes, yeah, and then I see you guys dropped another episode. I said, yeah, I got that notification too. Jim just sneaks it out there every year.
But it's the only episode that people listen to of all of our episodes. So I figured, hey,
you got it.
We got a handful. We got a handful of extra listens on that. So
okay,
yeah.
Fair enough. Did you put like a disclaimer at the end? Like, listen, if you've heard this more than once.
No, I didn't even bother this time. Usually I record an intro saying I just used the same intro I did last year. So apologies again.
Which was a double dipping to begin with. So,
but thanks to anybody who actually heard it before and listened to the thing again.
That's probably one of our shortest episodes too.
It is. Maybe that's why that's the allure. Listen. That's the allure of it. Yeah.
I don't have to listen to these morons for 2 hours.
Yeah. You can say we could just do a Siskel and Ebert. Rebel Moon, thumbs up, thumbs down, boom, done.
Yeah, right. Well, listen, yeah, we could do that. You want to do that? It'll be a very short episode.
It would be easy to do it.
Yes, it would.
With this one in particular.
Woo! I think there's I think I know exactly which way you're gonna fall. Just based on previous Zack Snyder discussions.
Yeah, it's hard to get over my prejudice. He's really going to have to do something amazing to get me over on his side. Yeah, I'm sorry for showing my hand.
No, that's fine. I know exactly what we're getting into. And I've actually had a discussion with more than a few people about this movie coming into this episode. So we might get a couple new listens on this one because they're like, oh, let me know when it drops because I want to hear what you guys have to say. So welcome. If this is your first episode ever, welcome. I am Jeff. That is Jim, and we are TMI. And It is now 2024.
Yeah, so we've been at this for 6 years if you've never listened before.
Wow. And we're just raking it in. I mean, we got money coming over hand over fist.
Yeah, it's printed by Parker Brothers, but
yeah. It's not even Canadian money.
Yeah.
What is it? Money banks? What's the Monopoly guy?
Money bags.
Money bags.
I think. Or Mr. Monopoly, I think they just call him.
Mr. Monopoly.
Mr. Monocle.
Does the guy have a monocle?
He does.
So.
I think he does. Yeah. Well, maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
They still let him wear the top hat?
They put him in jail an awful lot. I'll tell you that.
That is true. True. Which makes me think that he's doing something very sus.
But apparently he has learned to escape with just a thimble. So I applaud him for that. I
always chose the thimble.
Me too. I'm really? Like, I'm not going to, everybody fights over that car. I'm not even going to go there.
Or the dog. Or the boots.
You know what never even appealed to me was the iron. Nobody ever wants the iron.
Does anybody know what an iron or a thimble is anymore? Obviously, Rebel Moon. We just teased there is our main feature. And this can't get any more spot on as a pairing.
No, I didn't even realize when you brought up Battle Beyond the Stars that they were so similar because I had forgotten. I probably haven't seen Battle Beyond the Stars since its heyday in the 80s and the early
probably
80s.
since it dropped on the HBO.
Yeah. And of course, I didn't know Seven Samurai or Magnificent Seven then, so it was new to me.
Yeah. No, and it's listen, we could spend all day going through every reference that's going to be dropped, especially in Rebel Moon. But that's basically the same movie. So then here we go. Well, which one's better?
Mm-hmm.
Who did it better? I'm going to tell you right now, A Bug's Life. I will say when those ships.
Is this now? Did they add this plot to one of the 7 basic movie plots?
It should be.
Yeah, I actually tend towards the Three Amigos in this genre.
Oh yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah,
that's one that's
Galaxy Quest, right?
Galaxy Quest, yeah. It's been done. I mean, Magnificent Seven was a remake of Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
So, and then Magnificent Seven's been remade twice because there's a 60s, 70s version. And then there's the newer one that just came out with Chris Pratt not too long ago. But online, a lot of people are just crapping on this movie that it's a Star Wars ripoff. And I'm like, no, it's not a Star Wars ripoff. It's A Bug's Life. When those ships come down, I go, here come the grasshoppers. I hope Flick doesn't mess this up. So, hold on. Before we get there, we have a little bit of news coming out of 2023 that may affect some of our movies in 2024 and beyond. So you want to do some news? All right. We talked about this, a couple months ago, and we said we were going to stay on top of it. And now there's a resolution. We didn't talk about it last episode, but Marvel has officially dropped Jonathan Majors after he was found guilty of reckless assault in the 3rd degree and guilty of harassment. So Kang is no more.
Kang is no more, perhaps, in this iteration, but the character itself lends to multiple variants or possibly actors.
Yes. Now, you made mention in a text that he somehow, and I haven't seen anything.
Well, no, that's conjecture. I don't want to say. Right. I read some article where it said he wrote into his contract because of the nature of his character that nobody else could play Kang but him.
Which is genius.
I've only seen that ever written once.
Okay.
And
we can't.
It wasn't a very reputable website. So
just somebody looking for clickbait.
Exactly. So there's lots of conjecture. What's Marvel going to do? And of course, they're not going to show their hand this early. We're not going to get any news from them until the last possible moment.
Well, I will say this, which is when all of these rumors started and his agency dropped him. Marvel didn't say anything. Marvel stepped back and just let it all play out. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction and immediately fire him because this news came out well before Loki season 2, and he's a major character in that story arc. So if they had just dropped him, would they have then been obligated to not release that?
Yeah, that's, very shrewd on their part, because that would be very contradictory if they dropped them and then aired that season anyway,
Right. Listen, you know what? You don't get rewarded for bad behavior. We talk about that all the time. And these actors that we put on these pedestals are human, and sometimes they're not nice humans. And we all have our weak moments. But dang, that Victor Timely was such a great character. And just to see what he might have been able to do with this Kang character, because initially when they're like, 2026, we're going to have the Kang Dynasty, the new Avengers movie. And you're like, so this is going to be the bad guy every movie? Like, they weren't even playing him up as like the Thanos character in the background. He was going to be front and center. But being a variant, he could play this character which way he wanted to.
Yeah.
And it looked like he had the chops to pull it off. So as a Marvel fan and a Jonathan Majors fan, because we've seen him in other stuff, it's very disheartening.
Well, think of it this way. We did, as much as you disliked the film, we saw him go full Kang in Quantumania.
Yeah.
So we have that. So there's not really that much of a what if factor. He played the character in 2 seasons of Loki, a variant of the character. He played it in a full movie as the main bad guy, and he was vanquished at the end. And they kind of did write off Kang at the end of season 2 Loki.
And I think when we did talk about that we felt that was kind of their backdoor insurance. Like, let's just kind of add this little throwaway,
which is weird because this was written and filmed, from what I understand, before the controversy. So I don't know if that was just a red herring at the time, which now they're probably wiping their forehead. Good thing we put that in there.
Dodge that bullet.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can't have the Kang dynasty. He could be recast. It is a great character. I think Iger's come out and says, Disney's getting a lot of crap for the fact that they are just releasing this dirge of Marvel movies that are not really been doing well. And TV shows. I just saw a trailer last night. Echo is dropping like next week in January. I had no clue.
It is? Really?
Yeah, I think it was.
You caught me off guard there. I'm like, really?
Yeah, no. There's they were running spots for it last night. NFL football game.
Wow.
January 9th.
All right.
And it looks pretty intensive. Obviously, we have D'Onofrio back as Kingpin. Do we need it at this point? They said that they're going to back off on some of the stuff. I also read that Ironheart, which has been in the can since last year, will not be released until 2025.
Well, there you go. They are backing off on some of this stuff, if that's the case.
Maybe this is a chance for them to really just kind of like step back and reset everything. We are getting Deadpool 3 next year. Well, this year, 2024. At some point, I think that's been backed up. But that looks like it's going to be a little more out there. And
well, it's Deadpool, right?
Yeah, but it looks like they're really kind of leaning into the multiverse stuff, that characters that may or may not show up, alternate versions of these characters. So
I see, because that's one of the, all these people are writing articles, clickbait, as you mentioned before, like how Marvel can save the MCU. And one of the big things out there is suggesting that they could turn Secret Wars into an Avengers versus X-Men extravaganza, which would be interesting. But again, it's all just conjecture at this point.
So Civil War.
Yeah.
I was rewatching Ragnarok the other night. This is a fun movie, and I think this is kind of what's been missing in the last couple. Although I really did like the Marvels, I thought that was fun.
Well, you see, it could be argued that that's what the problem was with the last couple, is that it went too much in that direction. Quantumania, for example, that wasn't exactly serious.
That is true.
And the Marvels was a really fun Guardian style romp. You walk a fine line, though, because look at Love and Thunder. If you get too silly, too far into that territory, then that's not a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think all these fans are just jaded. We're jaded to a certain degree. Someone wants it more serious. Someone cement these guys in reality. Then you get the original 2000 X-Men. Took itself a little too serious. Although, first time we saw these characters on screen, you're like, all right, I'm so in. So, obviously this is ongoing. I did like the fact that you just mentioned a what if, because that's my back end. What else have I been doing? Season 2 just dropped on Disney Plus.
Oh, that's already out now, is it?
Yeah. I think they just dropped the finale. So
okay.
It's only a handful of episodes, but we'll talk about that on the back end. So MCU, they were barreling away here toward this entire storyline around Kang, and I think now they have to bring everything to a screeching halt and really decide, are they going to recast this character, which I think is doable because of the nature of the fact that he has variants, or do we just do a complete reset and bring in Dr. Doom, who is a much less global menacing character, unless they're going to start following the last iteration of Secret Wars where he became like an emperor.
But here's the thing. I was thinking of this the other day. In Endgame, it was established that the Avengers have a time machine. So they could just undo anything that's done and go back in time and fix it. they shot themselves in the foot with that.
Yeah, it's not like they destroyed it or anything. Huh?
No.
This is the problem with all comic books, not just in the movies, but in comic books in general. So there you go. I'm assuming you watch Battle Beyond the Stars on Tubi?
On Peacock.
Peacock. Now, did you get ads?
Just at the beginning. And then I watched the movie uninterrupted.
Okay. And we were afraid, I think, when Tubi was bought out that it was going to go away, and it's not. But I do know that there are certain cast members on this show who do not appreciate ads. And up until this point, Amazon Prime has been probably one of your few places you could go to. But as of January 28th, all bets are off. You will be getting ads on your streaming service. People are all up in arms about this, but how else are you going to support this thing? For $2.99, you can pay extra for the non-ads. But I think they're actually trying to, most of these streaming services are trying to deter you from that because that's how they make their money is in advertisements.
Because it comes down to, all right, do I want to pay to not watch these ads? And most people are probably are not willing to do that. They'll just
no. I'm already paying enough for streaming services. Yeah. I'm trying to streamline my streaming services. All right.
Oh, so, I just want to apologize for one more thing.
Uh-oh. Wow. Are we airing our grievances this year?
We're airing. This is the Festivus for the rest of us.
All right.
Yeah. We covered, what was it, a month ago now? Godzilla -1.
Yeah.
Along with Shin Kamen Rider. And neither of us mentioned that the lead actress is the lead actress in both movies.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
what?
The characters are so wildly different. It never even occurred to me that this could be the same person.
Wow, no, because I will tell you, there are times, especially when we get into these foreign films, I don't spend the time looking up the actor or actresses because I can barely pronounce their name, let alone remember the characters' names.
Minami Hamabe, and I'm just doing my best there, but yeah, she's the lead in both films. And so we never even picked up on it.
In -1, is she the
she's Noriko.
Neighbor?
She's Noriko.
Oh, that's right. Oh, why am I thinking that Shin Kamen Rider is like from the 70s? It was like last year. Yeah. You're right. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Nope. Did not pick up on that.
Sorry about that oversight.
All right. Are you ready for this? Were you how long did you hold off before you finally relented and sat down to watch this?
I watched it about 5 days ago. So it had been out. Apparently, I didn't even realize this. They released it briefly in theaters. And then it debuted on Netflix, and it was out probably for about 3-4 weeks before I watched it for this show. Wait, I don't know if I would have watched it if it wasn't for our coverage of it.
That's only because there was a dearth of things to pick from.
To cover, yes.
Yeah. But it is getting a lot of buzz, good or bad. And so I think it's going to be, maybe we'll get some extra listens from this. People, because it is very divisive.
If we have gotten extra listens, go watch Godzilla -1 right now.
Yes, please. So there are a lot of Snyder detractors, and there's a lot of Snyder apologists. I don't know if you want to. Is he like the Rob Liefeld of sci-fi world?
I don't know. It's a really, really fascinating kind of subgenre of fan, the Snyder fan, which you would never think, but they start as DC enthusiasts, right? And they love the Snyder take on the DC extended universe, which is no more, unfortunately for some, and fortunately for others. Then you're going to be looking into the Snyder oeuvre. We haven't used that word for a while. And that's the problem with me and Snyder, is it goes back to his remake of Dawn of the Dead, which I still shudder over in my dreams and in my sleep.
So you can't just ignore that. You can't just say, all right, it's like, all right, you go to a gallery and the guy's got 25 paintings on the wall, but one painting you just despise. And so you hold all the other paintings against him. That's
a lacking in my judgment, and I'm sorry for that.
But that's
it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen often, but
no. But I think that there are times where we watch this stuff, and you just get so turned off by something. You're like, I never want to watch that actor again, or I never wanted. I could do without watching this director.
Yeah. The other thing that immediately comes to mind, other than the Dawn of the Dead remake, is Gerard Butler's teeth for some reason.
Wait, you're gonna blame Snyder for that?
Well, there's an awful lot of close-ups of this guy's teeth in slow-mo. So
you watch enough. I've pointed out there's a fair amount of movies where people in the Old West or in cavemen have perfect teeth, and it's like they even fixed Austin Powers' teeth in the second movie.
I actually was getting into the Snyder cut of Justice League, so it's not all bad.
No, there's a lot. I've never watched it because again, it dropped on Max, and that's something I think that that was a groundswell where fans were kind of asking for this. Warner Brothers relented and gave it to him. But why are we getting a director's cut of this movie that just dropped?
You get me two rungs up the ladder, and then you just sweep it out from under me.
And from what I'm reading, it's like, it's a completely different movie. It's an R-rated movie. I thought this was supposed to be an R-rated movie.
Why am I watching this version?
Why am I watching this movie?
If there's such a better version, there's such a better version out there, then why am I wasting my time with this?
Yeah. Look at this. I'm going to go back to the painting analogy. It's like the Mona Lisa. I'm hanging on the wall. I always wanted to put some trees in the background. I get it. I'm going to go back and change it.
It's almost like the hedging of bets. Well, you think this sucks? Well, it's not the real version. Just wait.
Yeah, you're not the judge. You can't judge this. It's not even the final thing. And again, I've seen, defenders who were like, well, Lucas did the same thing. All right, Lucas with Star Wars was a completely different animal. This man was fighting tooth and nail to get this movie made, and he was doing whatever he could, however he could, and he cut corners left and right. He gave up all of his control because the studio wanted to take that away from him. He was over budget. It was clearly that he was over his head, and he gave up everything except for the toy rights, which was a smart move on his part. And it was only 10 years later that he was able to have the technology to go back and be like, all right, this is the movie I meant it to be. We just didn't have the technology. This guy's literally like filming, and he's like, we'll go back and refilm that later because I have a better idea for it.
And here's the quote from one of the articles out there that Snyder talks about this upcoming director's cut. Way more brutal, more bizarre, Verhoeven-esque, more RoboCop than you know, in the way that it uses violence as another character. And there's a lot of sex in it.
Okay. I want to see that.
But now that I've watched this, if you weren't beholden to it, now you've got to sit through it again for longer.
Didn't blow up your skirt. And now all of a sudden, all you're doing is going to be comparing it to this version. Oh, they cut that scene. Wait, what happened to that character? Yeah. Okay. Anyways. So yeah, we're getting a director's cut because I guess that's now what we do.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's like, yeah, well, we'll just make an 8-hour version. I will say right now, I'm going to give this higher marks than you. It is very derivative. It is schlock, but it is wrapped in a nice, pretty bow.
It's watchable.
There's some very visual. There's some nice visuals going on. I think it dropped at the perfect time, or maybe I just watched it at the perfect time, right in between Christmas and New Year's. You're hanging out. You got an extra day of not working. It's rainy, dreary out. You got 3 or 4 beers in you. You got a charcuterie board in front of you, and it's passable entertainment. There are parts of it that I enjoyed. There are other parts that I was livid over. And again, you could just sit here. Even at one point, my wife looks up and she's like, "Oh, this is just like Avatar." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's when Conan there is trying to break a buckbeak," and I'm like, "Why? Why is that sequence? Why is that sequence even in there? It makes no." There are so many stupid things that makes no sense.
And first of all, I think this takes place in the top model galaxy. Everybody looks like they've just stepped off of a shoot somewhere.
Well,
and
apparently
they're still oiled up.
Yeah, that's a Snyder thing, which is, the guy who played that Conan, whatever. I don't even remember what the character's name was now. I do have it in my notes. He had to work out for like months because Snyder wanted him to look like Thor.
Yeah, there's no level of reality at all with these characters. It's like
Which is
even in
fine,
the even in the poor farmer's village, they're all top tier models that he's hired to play
which
these
is
poor
fine,
villagers.
So let's just say that the Earth is the ugly planet. Everyone else in the galaxy and all over are these gorgeous supermodels, and we are just the ugly stepchild. But I can get past that. It's like I said, it's a lot of flash and substance. There's some pretty things going on. My friend Joe pointed out, he goes, watch one of the scenes when at the beginning of the movie on the farmer planet, when the ships first come in, the shadows going across the land don't even line up with the ships. They look like someone hand scribbled them in. And it's so obvious when you watch it. And it's like, hopefully that'll be edited out in the X-rated version. I don't know. Yeah, but we are immediately introduced to this robot.
Before we get there, is this like a brand new, or is it a custom made Netflix Rainbow Bridge effect going on at the very beginning? You don't get the normal dun-dun Netflix. You get like a really cool, almost like a CBS special beginning. Or did you not even remember?
No, I don't think I paid attention to that part. Yeah. Usually
I thought it was, if I will say something good, that was probably the best Netflix intro I've ever seen.
Only if Thor came across that Rainbow Bridge. Oh, wait, Thor is in the movie later.
So we have Anthony Hopkins doing the voiceover.
Yes, and it's so jarring when you're like, that's Anthony Hopkins.
I know. I was like,
what the hell is he slumming it in this movie for?
Snyder in the control booth with him. More gravitas, please. More gravitas, please.
Okay. Yeah. So Anthony Hopkins, we get a little bit of backstory of the king and queen.
The mother world, right?
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to hold my hand a little bit through this because again, I didn't write down names.
Oh, please, neither did I. The mother world is the only thing I remember from all.
Mother world, yes.
Because for a very straightforward, basic story, they confuse it an awful lot with, as you said, a lot of names that kind of get lost almost immediately after they're introduced.
Yeah, which is fine. It happens in Lord of the Rings. It happens in Dune. It happens in all of these giant, heavy mythological stories. Even Star Wars, like you just thrust into that world.
But Star Wars, at least, it's like the Empire, the rebels. Words.
No, it's like all right. Listen, we all know that if you want to showcase bad guys, just put them in fascist SS uniforms. We these guys are just basically space Nazis.
It's true,
which is fine, but it's been done 100 times.
They even wear ties in this galaxy.
Yeah, that was weird. That was very taken me out. I'm like, why is he wearing a tie? Is this like a formal invasion? So yes, planet Velt, which is this farming planet.
That's where the farmers are, right? So the set, Anthony Hopkins sets the scene that the mother world was kind of like the Republic, I guess. Yeah. In Star Wars, 1,000 kings ruled, but they destroyed their own planet. Yeah. People, that's a little foreshadowing for us.
A little on the nose there.
So once they destroyed their own planet, they went on to conquer space because, they had nothing left to destroy. The mother world doesn't seem that good to begin with. 2 seconds into this movie, I'm like, well, I don't like the mother world very much. They don't sound like they're very good rulers. No. So the assassin kills the king and queen, destroying the bloodline of the mother world. So that leaves everything up for grabs,
including the princess.
Yes. So there was a princess who has magical powers, kind of like the Force, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Stop right there. Did you immediately jump to the conclusion that Cora is this princess?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's supposed to bring peace and harmony to the universe, right? But she apparently is killed along with the king and the queen.
Yeah. And these robots were built to protect her. Mm-hmm. And once the king and queen were killed, they no longer wanted to fight.
And it's a senator by the name of Belisarius that seizes power. So he's like the Darth Vader Emperor character here. So this started life as a Star Wars movie, correct?
Yes, this is this was a story that he wrote, and it was R-rated from the beginning, and he pitched it to Lucasfilm, and I believe he pitched it before Disney bought them, but they passed. And of course, once Disney bought them, he figured, well, it's now never going to happen because it's R-rated. And yet he somehow still made it PG. So why, if it was like, all right, we like this idea, let's just rip off Akira Kurosawa again, make it a Star Wars movie, but get rid of the sex and violence. Okay, that's what he's done. No, like I said, we could sit here and pick this movie apart. Every scene is derivative of something we've seen before.
So were these characters meant to be Star Wars characters that we are familiar with already?
No, I do believe it was supposed to be a whole new universe. Although, when you get to Charlie Hunnam, it's Han Solo.
Yeah.
And he pulls a Lando Calrissian. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Korra could easily be Jyn Erso. They're interchangeable. None of them are interesting characters. Like I said, I had a hard time even backtracking and putting names to some of these characters.
Yeah. And this Korra just looks miserable throughout.
Yeah. And she's got a backstory, which is fine. She's on the run. We find out that she was adopted. She's been hiding out or living with these farmers. But she's got this weird relationship with this old man. And I couldn't tell because early on there was talk of rebel leaders, a brother and a sister. And I'm like, is this supposed to be her brother? Like, are they the rebels that they've been? And that's why she's in hiding. There's a lot of stuff that gets thrown at you. And you're just like, I don't know. And then they have the harvest and apparently God likes it when you fornicate. So
yes. Corey's still playing Papa Smurf here.
Smurf, everybody, Smurf. I'm going to smurf the Smurf out of you.
But please, no ugly babies. Not on my watch.
No. We get a gorgeous Star Destroyer opening shot.
Are you talking about Battle Beyond the Stars already?
Yes,
or
yeah. I do want to do a montage of every movie that ripped off that opening Star Wars scene. But this starship just looks like Starship Yamato. It stars Star Blazers. It's like a battleship in space. Not much thought put into the design of these ships, and that's So
they're not memorable. The design of the ships. They're just functional. Maybe
I think we've run out of designs.
Yeah.
Listen, at least the Borg were a square cube. It was like, all right, that's not really aerodynamic, but I guess it doesn't need to be in space.
Yeah.
No, they're just cool looking ships for the sake of saying cool looking ships, but they're not really cool looking.
So the ships come down to the farm planet, interrupting their harvest fornications,
Yeah.
and they want, this is, right into Kurosawa territory.
Like I said, it's the grasshoppers.
They want the farmers to harvest the grain for them. And they're also, it's like a double purpose. They're also looking for the blood axes. They're looking for the blood axes who are rebels because they're using a lot of the same terminology from Star Wars.
Well, listen, the movie's called Rebel Moon.
Yeah. They gave them a pretty damn good offer to open with. Feed our army. We'll pay you 3 times what it's worth.
Yeah. But this moron Gunner, he was the harvest leader, and he was the one he was secretly selling the extra
surplus of their crop.
Surplus, that's the word I was looking for, to the rebels.
To the very rebels that these imperial officers, and they do refer to them as the Empire a couple of times. Yeah. Or Imperials.
And we're introduced to this Atticus Noble, who is this space Nazi bad guy. He's the leader.
Who, if you've ever seen Deadpool, the original, he's the bad guy from Deadpool.
I thought with that haircut, I thought he was Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber. So, and immediately, this guy is menacing. To come down, I will say there's these bad guys with like face masks that come in with them, and they're really cool looking. And I'm like, all right, they're kind of like the Red Royal Guards that are in the Death Star that you never know, who are they or what they are or what they can do, but they're kind of cool looking. They make a really neat action figure.
But I think that Papa Smurf was inherently stupid in his initial reply, because even if that gunner guy didn't speak up, it's obvious that they're doing well, that their land is fertile.
Yeah, well, so,
Papa Smurf would have been clubbed upside the head regardless if that gunner spoke.
So why was he leader?
I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I don't know either. So
he spends too much time braiding his beard than actually thinking about the needs of his people.
Yeah, and he's disposed of pretty quickly, unfortunately, because he was probably one of the cooler characters.
So let's talk about this robot. That's
Okay. Yes.
the voice. The robot's name is Jimmy.
It's like.
Does he have a magic flute as well?
I think
frightened, Jimmy.
by the end, I think yes. JC1345 or something like that. It doesn't matter because we're introduced to him and then you never see him again until the very last scene.
So is he on the planet already? No, he comes out of the box, right? He's like a jack in the box.
Yeah, he's like, these are like the king and queen army that these guys, these space Nazis now have. And they pop out of the box like those creepy in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, like a service droid. And we get some backstory of the fact that they were meant to protect the princess and the king and queen. And once the king and queen were killed, they no longer have a purpose. So they don't fight. Yes. And then one of these soldiers literally starts like knocking him into horse poop just so you can make fun of him.
Because these things were so apparently badass back in the day. Yeah. That everybody was afraid of them. Now they're having a great time humiliating a robot, if that's even possible.
Right. Like that's way to go there, tough guy.
It's like making fun of a wall.
Right. Go ahead. Fight back. Good. Yeah. And that he's no more menacing than Adam from Real Steel. You know, he's a kind of cool looking robot, but
Not after the teenage girl gets through with him, though. She's like putting daisies around his head and. So now he's even less menacing than he was to begin with.
And that to me was like a scene right out of Frankenstein.
The robot should be saying to her, are you trying to get my ass kicked, miss?
I don't know. I think she was trying to fornicate with him. Yeah, I heard you well equipped there, big guy. But this is where I'm talking about, because the scene doesn't make any sense and it doesn't tie into the overall story. We don't see the robot again. The robot doesn't leave the planet. We're made to believe that these are warrior robots who no longer have a purpose, and yet he's on the planet. You don't see him again, and when you see him in the very last shot, he's attached deer antlers to his head, and it's like, did he go feral? Like what? I don't know what's going on here, but there's a gorgeous shot of the robot on the side of the water because he's cleaning the horse poop off him underneath the bridge, and this is where it frustrates because he can paint a glorious picture. I mean, he loves the slow motion action sequences.
Oh my gosh.
And, yes. But I like it. You know, you just kind of like dissed on 300, but I think 300 and Watchmen are fantastic movies.
Let me tell you, if there was no slow motion, this movie would be a half hour shorter.
Yes, correct. Yeah. Yeah. Because everybody at one point, you know, and I think by the end, I'm like, oh, here we go. Another slow motion action sequence. Which is cool to look at. It's a comic book. It's just a comic book we have seen 100 times.
It makes you appreciate with the visual, you know. I'll say that for the slow motion scenes.
Yeah. But we're also introduced to this officer because at one point these jerks are hitting on this little girl who's trying to give them water.
It makes me shudder to think what is in this R-rated version, because this is the only scene that has any sexuality going on. So I'm like, I hope they don't explore this further, because that would be reprehensible.
This is another character that gets introduced and he breaks ranks to protect her against these other morons, and then you never see him again. And yes, I did read that, we're going to get more of a backstory from this character in the R-rated version. Well, I don't care now. And like I said, literally in this part of I said Cora is really the princess. Ugh. It's telegraphed, so because she's talking with the other guy and laying out the idea that this princess, you know, it's Anastasia. Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks she's dead. No, she's really alive. But does she remember who she is? No, probably not. Which I think Spaceballs even took advantage of.
So the backstory is that the big bad Belisarius, once he killed the royal family and everybody, that he found this 9-year-old girl, Cora, who fought back, and he admired her spunk, right? So he kept her as his own and trained her as his own. And now she was part of his elite fighting force.
Yeah. And at this point, we're just going to call her Gamora.
So Cora, when she's faced with these soldiers assaulting this teenage girl on the farm planet, she had all she can stand, and she can't stand no more.
She opens a can of spinach.
Yep. And she takes them out easily. And now she knows, I've doomed all these farmers to death. And once they figure out,
they were already doomed. Well, she did what she needed to do. But again, this is River in the bar scene in Serenity.
Yes.
Where she just snaps and goes badass. And it's a cool moment because, you want to see these guys. It's cathartic because you want to see these guys get their asses kicked.
And they do. Oh, they do.
Yes. And then we get this really, by the way, I found this gun in your crashed ship and I hid it from you all these years, but I'm going to give it back to you now as a plot device to remind audiences of who and what you once were. Because anytime she looked at the gun, she would have a flashback sequence.
Right.
Yeah. That's a Luke's lightsaber right there, basically.
Then she goes off, and this is where we get into more Kurosawa territory. She's got to assemble a fighting team to come back and protect the farmers.
Yeah. Well, I got to go find General Titus.
Yeah, that's who she's after.
Obi-Wan.
To begin with, because Titus was like the original rebel general that defected, and now he's in hiding on this planet. This guy is
really creating a niche market for himself, this actor. I'm going to butcher his name every time we say it. This is why I don't write down names.
Jaimin Ansu.
There you go. So, but he's just mentioned here. We got to go find him. They go and immediately go into the Star Wars cantina. Yeah. Although this walrus man was a little on the horny side.
Yes, he was. He would not take no for an answer either.
And it is a bit of a brothel, so you're right. And probably the R-rated version will probably see some fornication. Ooh,
but when Cora goes off, Gunnar insists on coming with her because he feels bad that he set up Papa Smurf to get
because he should have been. He's the one who should have been killed. He's a stupid character,
and he's a detriment to everybody because he doesn't know how to fight or anything. So Cora's got to protect him in the cantina because the walrus guy is after him, not Cora.
Right. Yes, yeah. That was a nice little twist.
They're looking for not only info on Titus, but also on the Blood Axes, because they're like the rebel leaders as well. So they also.
But he was selling to them, was he not?
Yes, he was.
So he's looking for his contact.
So this guy knows where the Blood Axes are. Apparently, the Blood Axes don't care too much about just dropping hints as to where they're hiding out.
Yeah, because this makes no sense. Like, I know how to get. We're gonna go to this planet. Everything's a planet.
Why would they tell? Why would they tell this guy that? Like, oh yeah, they told me where they're hiding out.
Right. There's the guy. There's the guy right there. Oh, they captured him already. Mm-hmm. Crap. Yeah.
So what is Charlie Hunnam's name?
Kai. Han Solo.
I wrote down Kia. It's not Kia. It's Kai.
Kia.
Do you have $100? Do you have a job? Then you can buy a Kia.
He's Viggo Mortensen's character from Lord of the Rings.
The Irish Han Solo.
Yeah, what's up with that accent?
Of course, he's a smuggler, right? He's got a big, ugly ship, so it all fits into place here.
Yeah.
And the bounty hunter even watches them go.
Yeah. You know, rat them out. So what? We fly to go meet Ron Jeremy, who has sexy slaves.
Sexy, oiled up slaves. And there's not even a wheel of time to justify why this guy is so ripped and cut.
No. Tarek is his name.
Okay.
I will tell you, this actor, he was a Dothraki warrior in Game of Thrones.
Oh, was he? Everybody was in Game of Thrones.
Well, I was going to say they were all greased up and well oiled and chiseled. But so he's paying off some kind of a debt as a slave. And yet they show up, and within 2 minutes, the guy's like, well, if you can break that bird over there. And I'm like, why didn't you ask him to do that 2 years ago? Like, why are you waiting until now? 300 dirhams if he gets his freedom, if Conan over there can jump on that bird. And he's got a rapport with this bird. And I read this whole article where this actor, so I think the bird represents a lifelong gone. It's another tether to his homeworld. And when he gets the opportunity to free the bird, he gets an opportunity to free himself. Literally and metaphorically. So the symbiosis between himself and the bird is not just because they're from the same planet. It's because they're in the same position. I'm like, just ride the bird.
Yeah. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, why do they have a hippogriff in this movie?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like I said, buckbeak. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So somehow the bird comes from the same planet he does, and they have this connection. And again, it's a nice looking sequence. I mean, it throws him off. It starts to fly away. He slow-mo jumps into the air, right into the sun, lands on it. He breaks him. and then lands and immediately has the bird kill this guy.
I don't think he has the bird kill him. It's like the guy stupidly thinks, okay, he can ride him, so now I can too. It's like, obviously he's not very well versed in animals or logic either.
And didn't this guy employ anybody else? And no one stopped these people from taking this guy. And it's not like they took the buckbeak with them.
No, so apparently this guy could have left at any time. He could have jumped on this buckbeak and been off. Yeah,
right. Because there were people wrangling the hippogriff or whatever you want to call it, and then all of a sudden, no, then we're gonna kill him. This guy's dead now, so we're gone. I guess everyone else was like, oh, fat guy's dead. I guess I can leave. Yeah, Jabba down.
So so now they have a little team. They have Kia, they have Conan, they have Gunner. So there's 4 of them now. So now they go to get the Wicked Witch of the West.
It's a mining planet with spider people. Wicked Witch of the West.
Because she's wearing a full-on witch hat when they show up.
Wait, are we talking about Elektra with the 2 lightsabers?
Yeah, we are.
That the girl? Yeah.
Yep.
Her name is Nemesis. It's like, okay. That literally means bad.
So again, this is, you're seeing how this could have been a Star Wars movie, because they don't even change the lightsaber aspect of it.
Well, I think they were blades that just glowed.
Yeah, but isn't that well, not really, but
no.
That's the same point of a lightsaber.
I understand. It did look cool. What didn't look cool was a stupid spider woman. They went to a mining planet. We got to go from point A to point B. All right, off we go to the mining planet. Next thing you know, we're being confronted with the spider woman. And I will say, my friend Joe pointed out, he's like, it's like the effects department couldn't decide. Should we go full spider with this lady? She's clearly got giant spider eyes on the top of her head, but then she has human eyes at the bottom. Yeah.
And she's upset because one of her children was killed, or
because she's a spider.
One of her 1,000 children.
Yeah, you bang out. Yeah, it's not like you're having one offspring.
When they arrive on this mining planet, it's kind of like they arrive in the middle of this fight between Nemesis and the Spider Woman, and Nemesis takes out the Spider Lady easily. With little to no effort.
This is Ripley and the Alien Queen here.
And then, she's part of the team. So then you don't know like who this person is or why she's going
or why
with
she
them.
Joined with them. Right.
Yeah.
It's not like they're paying any of these people.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's a plot point.
And then you learn a little bit later on that she's missing a child and that she had nothing to live for on this planet. So, but that's not until later that you learn that information. And throughout this, as you say, you're getting little bits of backstory, flashback to Cora.
Yes.
And then it turns out that after she got adopted by the bad guy, she became the head guard of the princess. So she knew that there were scenes with her and the princess.
Yeah, right.
So, unless her memory is mixed up or what have you, because as you said, like all points are pointing towards her as the princess.
Yeah, Cora.
Except for this flashback scene.
Yeah.
Unless you're being shown something that's not true.
Maybe she's got a twin sister. Who knows?
This flashback is where you see the powers of this little girl, because she brings a dead bird back to life in her hands. She's
got like this. Yeah, like you said, it's the Force. She's got this life spark. It's going to come in handy later.
So
when somebody dies, somebody she cares about dies, she's going to bring them back.
And so, it's said that the girl is killed, but you never see this in a flashback. So, yeah. So, that at least didn't happen.
No.
Next character they find is Titus on Pollux, who is covered even more so than the robot was beforehand in crap. So it takes a little bit of doing because he's drunk, first of all.
He's to clean him up. Yeah.
He's like that animatronic pirate in the ride Pirates of the Caribbean. First matter of business is they have to hose him off. But they never hosed off his head, because after the hosing was done, his head is still completely caked in mud. I'm like, you missed a spot there.
Yeah. And then he's got to shave. He's got to look cool for that end sequence.
Yeah. He's got some payback in mind. So it does take some convincing to get him on board, but eventually he joins them. What do they go to Naboo at this point? Because that's what this guy looked like.
This guy was really cool looking. Leviticus?
Boss Nass.
This guy was the coolest. He looked like a Chinese water dragon. He did. He was the coolest looking thing ever. And of course, he's too cool. We got to kill him.
So after Titus, they have to go looking for the blood axes. So this is where Gunner knows that they're hiding out on this planet. And this King Leviticus, this boss Nass, he's the one that's harboring them. Yeah, they find the blood axes, and they're twin, brother and sister. They state their case to the blood axes. We're going back to this farming community. We have to protect them. The brother is like, okay, I'm in. Let's go.
Yeah,
And the sister's like, wait a second.
No,
we're gonna kill all of our rebels just to protect this farmer. He's like, no, we're gonna lose everything.
We're gonna lose our grain connection.
Yeah. And nobody is thinking of poor King Leviticus.
Right. This guy
This guy has harbored them. This guy has given them safe harbor for however long.
Yeah, no.
You got to deal with this yourself, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Noble immediately finds it because he broke the other guy that they kidnapped, the guy that was doing the grain deals.
Yeah.
He turned pretty quick.
And then the blood axes, what did they say? If this farmer found us, it won't be long until Noble does. The farmer found you because you told him.
Right. Correct. Yeah. Geniuses.
They desert the king to fend for himself, after they've already established that Noble is coming. Okay, let's get out of here.
He's coming. Let's get out of here. Wait, yep. Can you take me? No, you gotta say.
And now here is also a give, because Kia, I'm going to continue to call this guy Kia because that's what I wrote down in my notes.
I went with it.
He says, okay, I was a smuggler, but I've still got some cargo, so I want to make one last stop to drop off my cargo and then clean slate. Then now I'm a good guy after I do this.
Yeah, okay.
Like this sounds weird to me. So it's a little bit of foreshadowing that this guy is not all he is cracked up to be.
Well, you also have to realize there were now 8 of them, so one of them had to turn. We could only have 7. So he sells them out.
So he is playing the long con here. He is like hiding his hand until the whole team is assembled so he can sell them all down the river.
Are you sure there's not anybody else you want to add before I stop? No? Okay. All right.
They go to this place where he says he's going to make his last drop off to drop off his cargo. They're actually helping him unload the ship.
It's a trap. Yeah. No, we just need fucking Akbar to show up.
Before I sell you out, can you please help me with these boxes here?
Right.
Yeah.
Help me out. All right. We'll give you a hand. Yeah. And this is now we got another slow motion action sequence going on here.
So this is the climax of part 1, pretty much. Is this
part 1?
Yeah.
So now you've just assembled this group and now you've immediately been ratted out and captured. Well, attempted capture.
And what is cool is they have these robot type things that paralyze them. It's like they're held.
Yeah, they're like almost like the tail of a scorpion that comes out of the box, and then they're held hostage, and there's like an injection thing in the back of the neck that they can.
What is Ed Screen's name?
Noble.
So Noble,
Atticus Noble.
Atticus Noble. He's the same guy that killed Papa Smurf back on the farmer planet.
He's been chasing him this whole time.
Yep. So he recognizes Gunner as one of the farmers, and he said, "You got Papa Smurf killed. I'm going to give you the opportunity to kill like the rest of these guys too."
Right.
So here, now you inject this big giant needle into the bloodstone. Was it Blood Axe's neck that he chose first?
I don't even remember.
But not only does this thing go into their neck, you can also use it to free them. So instead of killing them, of course, he frees them. Yeah.
I fooled you.
So here, Noble, I'm going to give you the key here. Turn it to the left.
Just
That'll
don't
kill
turn
him.
it to the right. Just
don't turn it to the right. Yeah.
That'll actually free him and screw me. Wait, what?
Blood Axe gets killed, the brother. So let me point out that
now the sister's going to be pissed.
Now the sister's going to be pissed. She's going to have no choice in part 2 but to join them. But Blood Axe is played by Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg. So, and famously, I think outed the behavior of Joss Whedon. So Ray Fisher is Team Snyder. So I was actually glad to see him in another movie, so he's not like blacklisted by the Hollywood community, and he's
especially by DC. Yeah.
So, and he gets a worthy death. A slow-mo 300 scene where he jumps onto the cockpit of one of the ships that's firing on them.
Gets shot through the canopy.
But at least he takes the guy out, and when he does so.
Yeah.
This whole sequence is set on like a floating, very much like reminiscent of Empire, where it's like this endless drop below them. Right. So they're like on this floating dock in like a Cloud City type establishment.
Yeah, at one point she's literally hanging off like Luke. Yeah.
So there's like the overall battle going on between the bad soldiers and the rebel team, And then Korra takes on Noble one-on-one on this platform all by itself. Yeah, just like Vader and Luke at the end of Empire.
Yeah, and we've already seen that she's got this kick-in hyper fighting ability. So it's like, all right, he got a couple of nice jabs in, but
yeah, but she basically dominates him, breaks his arm like Jet Jaguar does to Gigan at the end of Godzilla versus Megalon.
Yeah, but then he goes full on Hans Gruber.
And she drops him into the nothingness.
Yeah.
He lands on a rock, and yet he's still alive.
Well, they had to bring him back, and this is where those cool guys with the masks come in. They just been waiting around for him to die so they can bring him back, resurrect him.
So it's like, a Revenge of the Sith. They fix him,
Anakin,
and
This is a $6 million man. We can make him bigger,
but
better,
here's
and
the
stronger.
thing: is that I thought the reason I say it was anticlimactic is that okay, you've been building Noble as the bad guy of part one.
Yeah.
Now's your chance to. We've dealt with Noble. Now it's Belisarius, who is the main bad guy. That would be the adversary in part two. But now we're going to get more of the same.
No, because you'll probably get an Emperor / Vader double team attack.
Yeah.
Maybe Belisarius would be like, listen, apparently you can't take care of these idiots alone. So now I got to step in, but I'm going to make you badass. We're going to put you in a helmet. I hope he gets a new haircut. He couldn't even land like in a lava pit and burn his hair off. Nothing. He's pretty intact. And then we get back to the planet. So if they killed the space Nazi, why are they going back to the planet with her now? They succeeded in getting rid of him.
Well, they got rid of him, but the rest of the army is still there. So you would assume that they still remember that they need to go back to the farmers to get their the crop that they asked for. I don't know.
They're just hoping for a payday.
Yeah. So at the very end, the team finally makes it back to the farming community and are all set to protect them. And this is where we see that Jimmy, the robot, now has the antlers on his head.
Yeah. That makes no sense. What's he been doing?
Killing
communion with yeah. Did he find those or did he actually take them off the deer?
So yes. So now we wait until part 2. Do we know when this is coming out?
April. And you will not be getting the director's cut of this version beforehand. So you're going to have to watch the second PG-13 version, and then they're going to release the R-rated,
the full
18-hour.
Yeah, I don't know.
April, part 2, the Scar Giver, which was her kind of battle nickname in those flashbacks. And I think once or twice somebody referred to her as such. The Scar Giver. Ooh, don't give me a scar. Not the eviscerator, not anything. The Scar Giver.
Yeah.
I'm scarred. Yeah. Carrie Elwes plays the king in the flashbacks.
I didn't even pick up on that. I did not recognize him.
No, because you don't see, half the time you don't even see the king's face. But again, probably he's going to have a bigger role either in part 2 or in the R-rated version. Who knows? Are we actually going to cover part 2?
I don't know. That's still up in the air. Depends on what else is available for us to talk about at the time.
Yeah.
Like I said, even though it's not in Seven Samurai territory, I think Rogue One does the job that this didn't do for me.
Yeah.
That's more of like a Dirty Dozen kind of a team assemblage.
Yeah, but again, it's the same concept.
Yeah. This was typical Snyder down to the slow-mo. He's got what I will say for him is he's got a very specific visual style.
Which is fine. Be an art director. Be a cinematographer. Because did he write this script? It's hack. Yeah.
Screenplay by Zack Snyder, Kurt Johnstad, and Shay Hatton. So 3 people.
So it took 3 people to write this.
And story by Zack Snyder. So he came up with the overarching story.
Yeah. So he was sitting around watching TMC. Seven Samurai came on, and he's like, I can do this better. Like I said, it's pretty. It's mildly entertaining. Visually, it's spot on, but it's a very familiar blanket. It's nothing new. There's nothing new here.
No, but like I said, it is watchable if you like action sequences. These are decent action sequences.
Yeah. Maybe just turn the volume off and just watch it unfold.
So sure, it's watchable, but it's not my cup of tea. And just this whole fact that, oh, I'm filming, dude, don't worry, if you didn't like this, I've got a director's cut on the back burner with lots more violence.
That is a real turnoff. Yeah. That just fills you with self-importance. Like, then just make the movie you want.
I think it was suggested in this article that I read that maybe Netflix wanted it PG-13, but they're like, okay, we'll give you the option for a director's cut because we saw how well that turned out with the Justice League, so let's have our own Justice League moment here.
I don't even
that's
know.
Justified because that was like a battle between him and the studio, right?
Right. Didn't he have to walk away from that?
Yeah. As you said, you've seen it done before and better.
Mm-hmm.
You're walking in other people's footprints.
Yeah. And maybe people, there's a fair amount of Snyder fans who laud him, which is fine. I think it's hacky.
It's a taste. I'm not going to say that he's a bad filmmaker, but it's just he's not to my taste.
No,
that's all.
No. Visually, it's all there.
Yeah,
it's all there. It's just what he's wrapping it in. The story, it's nothing new. And you could say the same thing with Avatar. Avatar is Dancing with Wolves. I don't know. Are we just run out of ideas? Are we finally at the point in our human history where there are no new tales? Because, I mean, don't get me... Star Wars was derivative of everything that Lucas grew up with, which is fine. But he somehow made it fresh.
And I don't think, like, at that time, a lot of people were aware of what he was inspired by. So it seemed new. But now,
you're right. Japanese culture is not what it is now, where we don't have access to those movies, unless you went to like a high-end, art cinema. Criterion didn't exist back then.
No
one was putting this stuff in front of us. So he was influenced by stuff that probably a lot of people weren't aware of.
Yeah.
We're all aware of every story.
We're all jaded. We're all jaded.
Yeah. And because Seven Samurai, this idea of this villain, like you said, even Three Amigos, and they play it for laughs, but they're brought in, they're being persecuted by these bad guys, and now we have to bring in protectors. Somebody has to come in and protect us, and it's been done over and over and over again. Galaxy Quest, you mentioned Galaxy Quest, we could just find something new. This is why I will never make a movie or write a comic book, because all I can do is draw upon the crap I grew up with. And it's just all derivative.
And I think I've mentioned this before on this show, is that it's incredible to me that songwriters can write a new song without subconsciously being affected by a melody. Yeah. Again, I'm not waiting with bated breath on part 2 here, because this part 1 was just more of the same kind of Zack Snyder stuff. I'm going to go maybe 2 3/4 buckets on this out of 5.
That is higher than I expected you to go.
It's higher than I expected to give, as a matter of fact.
I hope I did not talk you up on that, because
you may have by a quarter bucket now that we're going over them.
All right.
Because there are some good, I'll give it to them. There are some good visuals.
Yeah.
Some of the action sequences are enjoyable. But overall, you've seen it before. And I mean that story-wise and Zack Snyder-wise, you've seen it before.
Yeah. And which makes me think at some point somebody's like, hey, Zach, this is exactly like this. Like, why can't we do something slightly different? Mm-hmm. Whatever. You know what? They gave him the keys to the castle, and he went with it. 3. I'm going to give it 3 buckets out of 5.
So we weren't that wildly off from each other.
No. I definitely felt like I was going to have to defend this a little bit more. You didn't crap on it as much as I thought you were going to, based on your displeasure for this man's work. And it's funny.
It's on the higher. I think it's on the higher end of his work for me, actually.
There you go. So I mean, it's out there, it's on Netflix, it's getting buzz, IMDb, people are crapping all over it, and then there are other people who are lauding it. Okay, I'm happy when somebody sees something like this that I don't like and they love it. I love movies that nobody else loves, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's nice that, everybody has a niche. I hope we have a niche out there.
Do we have a niche? I don't know what
everybody but us has a niche of a fan base. All right. So we're done. Let's wipe our hands of Rebel
Moon.
Let's go to the concession stand. And
we didn't make one Rebel David Bowie lyric joke.
Oh, I didn't want to bring him.
You don't want to soil. Yeah, I tried with the Instagram headline, and it just wasn't working. So I had to abandon it. But you're right; it would have just sullied David Bowie's legacy. So, would you like to go to the concession stand?
I would. I would love to see what you came up with this week.
All right. So I think what I'm going to do is not give you the actual product, and I'm going to give you a little history up front, and then we can lean into it.
Oh, so I've got to guess?
Well,
should I just keep my mouth shut though and let you?
I don't know.
Pontificate?
Does anybody really care? No, don't let me pontificate too much. I want to get in. I want to get out.
Okay.
I want to get to our next movie, which should be a fun discussion as well, since it's basically the same movie we just watched. But I did want to theme it, and this is one thing that's getting harder and harder to do, is actually take these concession treats, candies, and tie them into our movie. Especially
when there's like a sci-fi aspect to our movies.
Yes, yeah, because I immediately wanted to go Pop Rocks, and I'm like, oh, wait, I already talked Pop Rocks, and you talked UFO candy. So
which you didn't even remember, so you would have no qualifications to talk UFO candy.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you right now. I have never tried this treat that I will be discussing. We will be discussing. But when I mention it, you'll be like, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen it all over the place.
So it still exists. It's not.
It does. It does exist, and it's a huge seller. And it is not Milky Way, but it is space related. Okay. So in 1960s, NASA was looking for food that could be reconstituted in cold water in just 10 minutes. Apparently, after the Mercury mission, the astronauts were complaining about the bite-sized cubes, freeze-dried powders, and semi-liquid squeezed out of aluminum tubes. We all seen the visual of astronauts, footage of astronauts squeezing liquids into space and then, eating it fishy style, floating around like a little runaway spitball. But apparently this food was very unappetizing. And they were hard to rehydrate and prone to sending crumbs floating into the spacecraft's instruments, which is probably not a good thing when you're hurtling around the Earth at a couple 100,000 miles an hour. So, up until then, reconstituted dry food required boiling water, and most foods needed a good 20 minutes to prepare. Okay. So NASA's on a mission here.
They didn't have ramen noodles in any of the space stations?
They do now because of this technology. So heading into the 70s for the Gemini missions, NASA funded research at the Army Natick Laboratories, which was able to develop special gravies when freeze-dried could be reconstituted with 80-degree water in just 5 minutes. And they were encased in a special plastic container that made it easier to mix in the water. So late 60s, early 70s, the space race was on. People were like obsessed with space exploration. And so museums started to look at new ways for visitors to take the experience home. You're still clueless here? I see you. Your wheels are turning.
Is this involved today buying this treat at a kiosk?
You probably could buy this at a kiosk. It is. We'll keep going here. 1 second. So in '73, the visitor center at Ames Research Center in California had a new idea. What if visitors could actually taste astronaut food? So they got in touch with a Colorado-based company called American Outdoor Products, which was one of the few companies that were actually making freeze-dried food. And American Outdoor Products was started in 1951 by a Girl Scout leader interested in lighter food to take camping. Until then, the best option was heavy canned food. She decided to make dried and dehydrated foods. And according to American Outdoor Products, current president Rodney Smith, the visitor center here at Ames Research Center, called up and asked, "Do you make freeze-dried ice cream?" "No, but we can." So freeze-dried ice cream had never been created. It did not exist. Astronauts had never eaten this treat. But apparently, this company was able to figure it out. And did you know, I'm going to give you some facts on freeze-dried ice cream. Freeze-dried ice cream takes 24 hours in order to create. You freeze the food to an extremely low temperature, around 40 degrees below zero. I don't know about you, that's pretty cold. Okay. Then the item is placed in a vacuum chamber, which lowers the pressure around the food. When heat is added at that low pressure, the water content within the food sublimates or transforms directly to a gas. That water vapor is sucked out of the chamber, and the process repeats anywhere from 20 to 100 hours. At the end, more than 99% of the water has been removed. They pioneered this freeze-dried ice cream. And at the beginning, they would freeze-dry gallon buckets of ice cream and then chip out portions and then wrap that individually and sell. But later they were able to figure out sliced Neapolitan. They found a company that actually made sliced Neapolitan ice cream, and then they just freeze-dried each individual piece. Today, they sell ice cream sandwiches, still in the classic Neapolitan flavor combinations, in whatever shape. Astronaut ice cream, as it is now referred, has proven a big seller. It is now available at more than 1,000 retailers around the world and is the top seller in the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum gift shop. Number one, any kid who walks in there, I want ice cream. I want to eat ice cream out of a cold pack, just like astronauts.
So is this Dippin' Dots? Is this what Dippin' Dots is?
It does sound pretty much like that's the same technology. Yeah, because those have to be freeze-dried. I mean, this was in the 70s, so yeah, I don't think Dippin' Dots were around.
So if this could be considered the same thing as Dippin' Dots, then that's a legit concession treat, because there's a freezer right at my Regal where you can get a package of Dippin' Dots.
So there you go. This is probably the grandfather of Dippin' Dots.
And that's where I was going with a kiosk, because you see Dippin' Dots kiosks at every single shopping mall.
Right. Yeah, you're right. But no, these are the foil packets that you see anytime you go to any kind of museum, and especially it mentions the Air and Space Museum. These are available in the gift shop.
Right, because if these are the same consistency as Dippin' Dots, then I don't want to be an astronaut, because there's a very strangely unsatisfying treat, because it tastes like air. It's like you're
but if you're 1,000 miles in space, that's as close as you're going to get.
Well, yeah, I guess if you've got either A, no food,
right,
or Dippin' Dots, then yeah, I would eat Dippin' Dots.
So here's the interesting thing, which is this technology is now taken off, and it's revolutionized the way that astronauts actually eat food. So they're able to, they've now taken this technology, this freeze-dried process, and made huge advancements. So now when you go up to the International Space Station, they actually have a refrigerator with fresh fruit, and they even have an oven up there now. But one of the biggest sellers that came out of this, freeze-dried fettuccine Alfredo.
Really?
Yeah, is one of their best-selling items. They also make a line of dog treats called Astro Dogs. I don't have a dog, so it's never like, I know now that when you walk into the grocery store, there's like an actual cooler section for fresh food for your dogs, your pets.
Yes, yep, I've seen it.
Yep. So I'm assuming that maybe that's available in there as well, these freeze-dried treats. So freeze-dried ice cream. Yeah, again, you probably can't get it at your concession stand, but Dippin' Dots, I'm guessing, is probably right in there.
Yeah.
So. The biggest question that came out of this when I was looking it up was, do astronauts drink their own pee? Because this is a big question.
Really? More so than do astronauts poop in the woods?
Houston, I got a problem. So I looked this up. So I Googled, if you Google do astronauts, this is the first question that comes up. And they initially say no, But then you're still cracking yourself up. Pee is more than 90% water. And since water is heavy and takes up a lot of space, it's better to recycle pee rather than bring up clean water from Earth. All astronaut pee is collected and turned back into clean, drinkable water. So yes, astronauts drink pee. And there is a facility out in California now that is talking about doing this process, and people are all up in arms. And the one of the people that is championing this said, you do realize that it is processed to the point where it's probably cleaner than the water you are currently drinking.
Is that person Kevin Costner?
That is Kevin Costner drinks his own pee?
Yeah, you ever seen Waterworld?
Oh, that's true. Well, listen, it's a lot of salt water going on there. So, but does he have freeze-dried ice cream? Astronaut ice cream?
Nah, I doubt it.
So that was my really deep reach space connection.
Wow.
Since both these movies take place in outer space, so I would assume that all these characters that we're watching drink their own pee, but maybe they can chase it with freeze-dried ice cream.
Maybe they can. Yeah.
We did. It took until The Mandalorian to find out that spaceships in the Star Wars universe have toilets. Do they just dump it in space?
I don't know, but I just pulled up Dippin' Dots on my trusty Wikipedia here.
Dippin' Dots never even crossed my mind, so sorry.
Dippin' Dots is an ice cream snack invented by Kurt Jones in 1988.
88.
The confection is created by flash freezing ice cream mix in liquid nitrogen. The snack is made by Dippin' Dots Incorporated, headquartered in Paducah, Kentucky.
Ooh.
Because the product requires storage at temperatures below 40 degrees, it is not sold in most grocery stores, as most cannot meet such extreme requirements.
So are those coolers? Are those kiosks that you talk about generating minus 40 degree?
They must.
To keep that from liquefying.
Yeah, there's no mention here of astronaut food, so these are obviously not the same thing as what you're talking about.
Maybe he worked for NASA at one point and he stole the technology.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of stealing.
Speaking of stealing, New World, Roger Corman.
Yes, the great Roger Corman.
Yeah. You know, before we set this up, and we've already mentioned that this is just one of a long lineage. It's not like this is the originator that we're giving plaudits to. Corman stole from the best of them for this, just as Snyder did. So,
well, but at least, I mean, you're coming off Star Wars. Everybody wanted a piece of the Star Wars action, so you have to make a space movie.
I was shocked that this came out as late as it did. Once I was looking into it, in like 1980. That's like 3 years after.
But he did have he did. So this is what I'm saying before, which is he took the idea of Seven Samurai and he put it in space.
Yes.
So at least he's taking a story genre and he's putting it in a new genre, where Snyder just picked up that's already been done and said, I can kind of do that better.
But as we said, it's been done in space since Battle Beyond the Stars.
Correct.
But, just like with most Corman movies, the pedigree of people that worked on this thing.
This man, this will be his lasting legacy, is the ability to find the creatives, because he did kind of nurture that environment where creative people could come in and be a part. And are you leaning into the whole James Cameron tie-in? Because I have extensive notes on the back end that we can talk about James Cameron and what he brought to this movie and why and who he is.
Yeah, well, not only him, but John Sayles, huge name.
Sayles, yep.
James Horner.
Yeah, his first soundtrack.
It's an early one, if not the first. Yeah, so all these names that you normally associate with, Oscar nominations are involved in this movie. And again, it's all part of this what they call the Corman School of Filmmaking, where all these huge names cut their teeth on their craft on the low budget movies. And this is one of them. Although in terms of Corman, this was his most expensive movie up to that time, maybe
$2
ever.
million? $2 million? Although I read that most of that budget went to 2 salaries.
And this is previous to A-Team too. So how he was commanding that, maybe it was based on a Breakfast at Tiffany's. Who knows? George Peppard, I'm talking about.
George Peppard and Robert Vaughn.
Yeah.
Yeah, between the two of them, they ate up a lot of that budget. I don't know. Somebody like, that movie looks like crap, but Robert Vaughn's in it. Well, I guess he was banned from Uncle, right?
Yeah. They both had pedigrees going into this.
Yeah. Yeah. But Roger Corman also had a name for himself in stuff like this.
Yeah.
Like it was just, again, the dearth of Star Wars ripoffs that were coming out around that time. Like they couldn't get the stuff together fast enough.
Also, we have Richard Thomas in the Luke Skywalker role, who is also known from the Waltons. So
is he John Boy?
Yeah.
Get out of here. I guess I don't think I paid that much attention now that you made that connection. Because I'm looking at him and I'm like, did somebody watch Logan's Run? They're like, we want that Michael York kid. And it's like, no, but you can get this one because he does have a lot of Michael York in him. I didn't realize that as John Boy. Yes.
So that's another like brilliant move to cast him because audiences are going to know this actor.
Yeah, sure.
Although since he's a TV actor, he's probably just, busting to get into films. So I'm sure
how'd that work out for him?
But I'm sure his salary didn't, even come close to Vaughn or to Peppard.
I don't know. I just look at him. I'm like, mole.
Yeah, you can't help but just stare.
No, you
try not to. You're like, okay, I'm above this. I can get over it. Nope.
No. We're children.
Just like staring at something else on Sybil Danning.
Yeah, I think I actually referred to her as Princess Nip Slip. Yes.
So farming community, right? That is.
Yeah. Yep, here we go. Yeah.
That is overtaken by Sador,
planet Akir. And if you didn't pick up on this, the denizens of planet Akir are called Akira, which is a direct Kurosawa reference.
Yes, a tip of the hat, you might say.
At least they gave an homage. They gave a little bit of a
And these people are so naive and so friendly. The only spaceship they have is a weather satellite. So this is at the very opening of the movie.
It looks like a robot minion from Despicable Me.
So, of course, again, you get the Star Destroyer shot, right? Although they try to mix it up by coming in on the side of it rather than...
right. There's a point where you all right, we need our Death Star, our Star Destroyer shot, but we can't just completely rip it off. All right, we'll put it on the side.
We'll do it from the side and then we'll move around to the back.
Although I will say the model looks like half a Star Destroyer, half Rebel blockade runner.
Yeah, because it's got that hammerhead.
It's got the hammerhead.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is the evil ship, of course, because you got to show that menacing evil ship go by camera.
This is part of like where James Horner's soundtrack comes in, though, because you got some evil undertones going on.
So again, you've got some, names that just go right by you. Like the bad guys are called the Malmori. Then mix that up with all these other character names that you just lose track. So we're just going to refer to people by their basest, I think, or I am at least. So anyway, this planet Akir is made up of a peaceful peoples. The only spaceship they have is a weather satellite, and the people in the weather satellite, the pilots, see this badass ship coming. Hello there.
Company.
Hey, welcome.
We got company. Well, it would have been cool. They zap them, but it would have been nice if they just rammed it, just run it over.
And they're just so. Can you identify yourself, please?
Yeah. Yes,
they are vaporized.
I will say that's a really big ship to be dropping into the lower atmosphere. Yeah,
it's like Independence Day.
Yeah.
And so I have a note here that the planet surface of Akir looks like a matte painting of the Smurf village.
This is 2 Smurf references.
Again, there's carry through. There's carry through.
There you go. Papa Smurf did not have that bad wine stain on his face, though. That's a very unfortunate birthmark.
You're talking about Sador?
Sador, yeah.
Sador.
Gorbachev.
So of course, and he must have like an outside speaker system on his ship. I am Sador.
Yeah.
And yes, I know my hairline is weird.
Right. And
Stop staring.
At least he didn't look like Noble in the previous movie.
I want your planet to be my colony. I will return at your harvest. Ooh,
Yeah.
we've heard that before.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
He wants our grain? Son of a... And then he opens fire. He's like, fire at will. And I always laugh because I'm like, which one's will? Like, how do I know which one to fire at? But we're 6.5 minutes into this movie, and we're already at the point where it took 45 minutes in Rebel Moon.
Yeah. And we're getting the Star Wars wipes. We didn't get one in Rebel Moon.
No. Oh, we get... Well, hold on. That's too far. Yeah. So now they want to send this poor kid out into space to go find people to fight these people.
To fight creatures of violence, we must use creatures of violence. Did the blind guy say that, or did Richard Thomas say that?
I think they said it simultaneously.
Oh, okay.
I think it makes perfect sense. Yes, for somebody who's never left his town, let alone planet. This kid leaves home for the first time and immediately gets hijacked by a bunch of punks. Like, probably not the brightest bulb in the bunch to send out for
no
reinforcements.
And his ship looks like a giant pair of ovaries. It's with boobs. And
so right, I actually wrote this ship has a set of balls on it, and it's front and center on the movie poster, and it is unlike anything that you have seen before because it does have that hammerhead type top, but then it clearly has 2 gonad sacs. But
no, I took them to be boobs because they've got nipples.
That is exactly. They are mammaries, and you do know that James Cameron designed that ship.
I did read that, as a matter of fact. Yes.
Yeah. His fingerprints are all over this movie, whether we realize it or not.
So as I'm watching, this ship is actually obviously very memorable. The main ship. Yeah. The rest of them, just like the other movies, kind of forgettable.
But some of them they're so leveled with detail. And it's like, all right, we spent a lot of hours making this, so the camera's got to just linger on it as long as possible. And I'm like, okay, but yes, this is a fun ship. It's weird, but at least it's different than what we've ever seen in space before.
So, I barely remember the ad campaign for this, as a kid. I definitely didn't see this in the theater when I was a kid.
I think, it probably dropped on HBO.
Not that I knew, this is a piece of crap movie from Roger Corman. I would have never have occurred to me.
No.
But it did make me, as soon as this movie was, after I watched it for this viewing, I'm like, did they make any toys from this? So I went back and looked. They did not. The only thing I found was a Viewmaster reel that they came out.
Yes, I did see that they made that. That's it. That's the only merchandising.
The only tie-in.
Huh.
Now, of course, every sci-fi movie has contemporary toys that are made. So you could probably get every character of this in an action figure now. But then, no, not so much.
I mean, at least some of the aliens were cool enough. You get the Cayman, the lizard guy. Like some of that stuff would have translated to action figures.
Yeah.
The kid Shad with the mole. I don't know if I wanted to play with him, but Sybil Danny's character.
Imagine how difficult that would be to hand paint that mole every single time on the action figure.
That's your whole job on the assembly line, is just to paint that mole. There you go.
So again, as I'm watching this, I'm assuming that this came out in 1978, the year after Star Wars. So imagine my surprise when I saw that the actual release year was 1980. But it made so much sense because there's a lot of alien-inspired visuals in here as well. First of all, Nell, the talking ship.
Yeah, Mother.
Yeah, Mother.
Yep.
And there's one scene where Nell lands on a planet, and it looks just like I forget the name of the planet in Alien now. LV
432, whatever.
Yeah. So it looks very much like that. So I could tell that they had Alien in mind as well as Star Wars, as well as Seven Samurai.
Yeah. What's funny is you listen to like clearly the laser blasts are stolen from Galactica because they are the Viper.
Mm-hmm.
When the doors open, when he goes to the planet and he meets the girl, the doors, when they open, it's Darth Vader's. It's like, you're just ripping this stuff off, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine. As a kid, you're like, oh, look. Yeah.
So just like in Rebel Moon, after Sador tells them that they're coming back once their harvest is done, he leaves behind two guys to make sure that they're doing what they asked them to do. One of them says to the other, remember Lobo? He disobeyed orders, and now Sador is wearing his left foot. I'm like, how do you wear somebody's left foot? As what? As a shoe? Foot? As a slipper?
Well, Sador had like some spare parts going on because he clearly needed a new arm. So maybe he had his foot replaced with Lobo's foot. I hope it was the same shoe size. That'd be very awkward. So you're talking about these aliens, these vagina faces?
Well, no, they look like the guy from the cantina who says, my friend doesn't like you. It was him. The guy right from the Star Wars cantina. Yeah.
Oh,
that Walrus Man. The guy with this
Dr. Ezra. I can't think of his name right now. I also picked up that he looked kind of like the guy from Total Recall.
And that guy, by the way, is the Bob Uecker of the Star Wars universe.
Bob Uecker.
My friend doesn't like you. And then he goes to the Walrus Man. He said he doesn't like you.
Oh, thank you.
So then Richard Thomas goes off to find his warriors, and he goes to Dr. Festivus. Is the second time we've
I don't know. Just a head.
He actually looks like he's in one of those old-timey personal steam machine, and only your head is sticking
only
out.
Your head, yeah.
Yeah.
You come out and your body's like 40 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a head. And apparently Dad just wants this guy to nail his daughter. Prepare the conjugal suite. It's like, what? Wait, what? No, I'm not here for that.
This space station with this doctor who is just ahead, his daughter, and just robots. And they're all like middle-aged men who are actually doing the robot dance.
Yes, I actually wrote in my note, there's money to be made in doing the robot. I'm like, where are Shields and Yarnell? It's the Shields and Yarnell planet. So, and I refer to the girl as Jan Brady.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, Chad's like, I want none of this. And he leaves. Well, she helps him leave. And then she just had a suitcase waiting around for this opportunity.
She was ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to leave Dad here, dear old Dad. And off she goes, chasing after Shad.
But he tells her they split up. Go wait for me in the Lambda Zone, which is apparently they pull pranks on fraternities.
Yeah, so the girl's in tow, although she's not going to be much help.
No, she's not.
He's off to a really bad start if he's looking for people to actually fight these bad guys.
But he finds the first viable option in the Space Cowboy. Does this guy have a name, or is he just Space Cowboy?
Space Cowboy. Although he's flying a Confederate flag on his spaceship. So, and he's from Earth. And he's got access to Western.
So we know right up front, we know immediately that he's a racist. Is that what
I don't know? Listen, he's an equal opportunity hater. He seems like a good guy, just because he's wearing a cowboy hat and Although I will say, my father-in-law would have loved that little liquor dispenser on his belt buckle. I probably would like it too. That's
so he's getting attacked by space pirates, and he has no defense against them. He has to be helped out.
I don't know, because later he's shooting with his chip.
I'm like, this is not, again, the daughter isn't the best choice as a warrior. Neither is this guy. He can't even fight off these jackers, is what they called them.
Jackers. I'm going to jack you off. No.
And he's wearing space chaps as well.
Because, your ass gets sore in space.
So Sador, to complete the Star Wars references, has his own Death Star type weapon. So this is thrown in. They call it the Stellar Converter.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
To demonstrate the power of this, they have to have an Alderaan scene.
They got to blow up Alderaan. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
but Shad uses the Force. There's a whole Luke and the Falcon Gunner chair sequence where Nell, who is the female ship, she's like, "How did you do that? You've never shot." And he goes, "I don't know. I just did it." I'm like, he's using the Force, but then it's never mentioned again. So we don't know.
And that control and his control station to shoot, it looks like it's going to come right off in his hand.
Same thing with Cowboy later on. The controls of these ships are abysmal. Yeah. It is not a well-designed gunning chair.
what is the daughter's name that
I don't know.
went to the Lambda zone?
I just kept writing Jan Brady.
Yeah, Jan Brady gets caught by like the lizard guy.
We're just going with it. Oh, that's Cayman.
Just like Bigfoot in a lot of recent movies. Apparently, lizard guys like to get it on with human women because they've got her tied up.
Apparently, they're all anatomically correct. So,
but
she's getting attacked by that weird cloud, and they come in and save her.
Yeah, but
all
then
of a sudden she's tied up by the slee stack. Yeah.
Yes, and then it's the lizard guy Cayman that has the two little bald aliens that can generate heat, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I will tell you, there's not much laughs in this movie. You think they play it really straight, but there is a campfire scene where they are using those two aliens as the campfire because they generate heat. He's cooking hot dogs on them, and I'm like, this is hysterical. And I don't think I ever picked up on that watching this.
No, it's not spelled out that's you have to notice it. Yeah,
right. Because we do get told that they generate heat. That's kind of like their power. Which she's like, oh, you're burning me because they got too close to her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it could. But as soon as she says that they're fighting Sador. Cayman, the lizard guy, is like, oh, you should have said that to begin with.
So I don't understand where Shad all of a sudden ends up in this white zone where he meets the nesters, the three-eyed guys.
He gets sucked in like a tractor beam kind of thing, and then he meets these.
There's
nesters.
A lot of weird, point A to point B that kind of like get missed in the process. All of a sudden we're just somewhere else.
Maybe that's how they came up with the Borg, is the nesters, the collective.
It could be. I did like, because the lead nester kept saying we, and we're like, we? He goes, yeah, it only takes 4 of us. He goes, why are there 5? He goes, well, we always keep a spare.
Oh. And it's so obvious they have an eye painted on their foreheads.
It's literally just painted. And it's not even like, they're not even trying to make it look like they're bald, because it's just like a tight hood over the back of their head. And then all of a sudden he's underground. And what happened to the three-eyed guys? And he stumbles into a prostitution hooker ring.
Yeah, that's when they go down to the planet to find Robert Vaughn, right? Because he's like the king of this pleasure planet. And this is where I was talking about when the Nell parks on this planet. It looks like that landscape of Alien on the planet in Alien.
Yeah. And Robert Vaughn's character's name is Gilf, which in Yiddish literally means money.
Or Gelt, right? G-E-L-T.
Gelt. Gilf is something else. Sorry.
Yeah. That's a relative of MILF. We'll have to.
Gilf.
Yeah.
Aliens. I'd like to know. All right. There you go. Yes. And then this is where we meet up with that Princess Nipslip, Sybil Danning, who I actually had a poster on my wall in high school of Sybil Danning.
From this movie?
Not from this movie. It's not the outfit she's wearing here. This outfit has got to be very uncomfortable.
Now, she's a Valkyrie, just like in Thor, right?
Just like in Thor, yeah. Who obviously knows how to fornicate because she's telling the girl later how to do it.
So she shows up because she's got a tiny little fighter,
and he wants nothing to do with her.
No.
He's like, no, thanks. And I'm like, she's the only one who's viable at this point. She at least, like, her ship is bouncing around and evading him. And I'm like, clearly she has some kind of a skill set in here. And he's like, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm like, you, sir, are an idiot. You need to go back to Walton Mountain.
In my head, I always thought that it was Sybil Danning that was in Conan as well. But that is not the case.
No. Did you just get the boobs mixed up, the buxomness of them?
No, like the Valkyrie kind of aspect of Conan. Yeah. So I always mixed up the two. Sandhal Bergman. So I apologize.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Bergman. So yeah. So now we have our team. Now that Sybil Danning, she's the last one to join. Yeah,
he finally relents and lets her join. Yep. And I love this. They go back to the planet, and the 2 aliens that are supposed to, keep an eye. They're like, seven ships. That's way too many, and just like run away.
But they arrive on Akir, and there's one farmer guy who's staring at Sybil Danning's décolletage. If you notice that.
Well, they're very naive, as you pointed out, so they probably have never seen such a thing in their life. Please don't stare, sir. Please don't.
No, my wings are up here, please. So.
Yeah, correct. But everyone's afraid of them. And then we get this little speech, and it's like, trust first, judge later. I'm like, whoa, that attitude's clearly going to get you killed. You judge first, and then you trust later. I don't know. But yeah, this is where Jan Brady is being schooled in the art of mating. Show me the ropes.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you got to stimulate his solenoid, and then you dingle his dangle. And it's like, what? I don't even know if he has a dangle. Yeah. And then she's shocked to learn that it only takes 2 sexes to mate. I want to see the R-rated version of this movie. Yeah. But then we get, boy, you want to talk about Zack Snyder and his slow motion action sequences. This battle goes on forever. And it's just spaceship flying into camera, spaceship flying into camera, explosion, spaceship flying into camera.
And at one point, one of the Nestor is captured by Sador, and he takes his arm because he needs an arm himself because he's only got one arm.
That is the worst special effects. And then they immediately control the arm, the other 4 or 3, however many were left.
So it's like an Evil Dead 2 kind of a sequence.
Yes, poke him in the arm. Oh boy. He's like smacking himself, and so the doctor like quickly cuts it back off again.
Yeah, and the Nestor only have 2 fingers and a thumb, and he's like, "Oh, we'll have to fix that."
Oh yeah, they're like Mickey Mouse hands.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter because they have to take it off. And I said, did they put his old arm back on? Nope, he's just running around with his real arm tucked inside his shirt, so you can't tell. He looks like he's supposed to be having no arm.
The Death Star is about to come around to destroy Akir. And then we get the most heartbreaking sacrifice in the movie because we no longer get to look at Sybil Danning because she flies her ship right into the stellar converter, a la Randy Quaid in
Hello, boys.
Yep.
Remember me? But this is the thing, is that they never once attack as a group.
No.
Just individually, they're kamikaze and getting taken out. And I'm like, this is not working at all. Because the Kelvins go down, then Gelt goes down.
Space Cowboy plays his harmonica as he goes down.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, whatever. This is it. This is how I go out. I'm fine. Cayman, he's kamikazes. Yeah, and then Shad is suddenly Alex from Last Starfighter. Like, he's like, all right, we're gonna go in, use my special force abilities. Yeah, they never once worked together as a team. It's just silly.
Shad is the only one that survives, right? Except for the girl.
And the girl.
Yeah. So all of his warriors die at the end.
Yeah. They all die for nothing. Second round's on its way.
As long as the good they did is with us, they're still with us. And then boom, it's over. Abrupt
that was it. And right to credits. It was like, wow, that's pretty heavy-handed. Yeah, this takes itself a little too seriously. I think that there could have been a few more laughs and it could have been more fun, but
well, I think it is pretty fun as it is.
Comparatively to Rebel Moon. I will say, did you know that Bill Paxton actually worked on the sets as a carpenter and painter?
Yes, in conjunction with Cameron, who was the designer of said sets.
Yes, we'll get through some of the other little fun facts, and then I want to talk more about James Cameron's connection to this, because there is a podcast I listen to called Blockbuster, and it's a drama. You know, there's actors playing roles and sound effects, and it's really the kind of the rise of James Cameron. And they cover this extensively, this kind of part in his history. And it was very pivotal in where he went as a director.
So this movie itself was directed by Jimmy Murakami.
Yes.
Who's not one of the more well-known names behind the scenes here, but he was mainly known as an animator. And the 2 big projects on his resume, well, one was after this, they both may have been after this, were adaptations of Raymond Briggs books. One is When the Wind Blows, and the other is The Snowman, which made the rounds quite extensively on HBO back in the early 80s, which is that 30-minute Christmas-themed movie, which was narrated by David Bowie. And When the Wind Blows actually features a song by David Bowie. So he's got Bowie connections, at least.
He got Bowie connections. There you go.
Yeah. So he's the director. The movie was released summer 1980, July 25th. So 2 months after Empire Strikes Back. I'm sure Empire was still playing in theaters by this point.
What a comparison, huh? It's true. Yeah.
Again, it was the most expensive film Corman had made, with a $2 million budget. Box office wise, it did $3.5 million. Did make some money. It did make some money.
This is one of those movies that probably it got its money back on the VHS shelves,
or maybe even selling it to to European distribution, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wonder. I bet you it probably was theatrically released.
Oh yeah, I remember commercials for this. I remember being aware of this movie when it was out initially. Spaceship, talking about Cameron's involvement as set designer, a lot of the spaceship corridors were made up of those old style McDonald's foam containers that the burgers used to come in, the Big Mac and what have you.
Yeah, he kind of climbed the ranks because he came in. So Corman actually wanted to hire a special effects firm, and because the budget was only $2 million, and like we mentioned, half of that went to two of the actors. They just couldn't find an FX house that could do the budget, so he created his own. And the special effects supervisor Chuck Comiskey brought in James Cameron as a model maker because Comiskey had he was impressed with Cameron's student film, which is Xenogenesis. I think we might have talked about this. You can find it on YouTube. He made it in 1978, and it kind of made the rounds as his demo tape. But he worked as a model maker and an art director, and was actually fired and rehired twice during production. So if you know anything about James Cameron, he's very headstrong. Apparently, the special effects art director, was fired, and Cameron he's the guy who was responsible for those McDonald's trays on the walls, because he was coming in, he was seeing that Corman would come in and he would see, people working on set, and he would get mad that the sets weren't built yet. So James Cameron realized that Corman was happy as long as he came in, whether the set was finished or not, as long as there was nobody working on it. So he would stay there. He literally was like sleeping on a gurney round the clock, doing special effects, adding stuff to the walls and to the models when everyone else had left. So he was like the little elf that made the shoes while the cobbler was sleeping. And one of these times, I guess one of his the associate producer came in, found him sleeping, and said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know the art director has been fired. He can't keep up with the production schedule. Would you like the job? Are you interested?" And Cameron was like half awake, and he's like, "Sure," and then went back to sleep. So he woke up with an art director position, not realize that. But he went from nothing. He went from model maker to special effects technician and art director in mere months, and was able to successfully take his salary from $200 to $750 a week. So the guy's a hustler. This is also where he met his future wife, Gail Ann Hurd.
Okay.
And they would go on to make the Terminator.
Of course, only 4 years later.
Yeah, 84. They were married in 85, right before they did Aliens, which was 86. And then they were divorced during the filming of The Abyss, which was 89. So this is where he got his start. And
this is where, like as you mentioned before, this is where he met Bill Paxton, correct?
Yes,
so that's
Bill Paxton. Obviously, he worked with Horner again on Aliens.
Yeah.
Some of the miniature designers, Alec Gillis and whatnot, So yeah, I mean, this is the genesis of Cameron and
many creatives' careers started here. Fun facts that I pulled: this is the movie being shown at the end of Bachelor Party when they're.
That's right. Yes. Oh, yes.
When they're the scene in the theater in Bachelor Party.
Yes, and the bus comes through the wall.
Yeah.
Yep. Now that's real effects.
And we did talk about Sybil Danning and her difficulty in keeping herself in check in her outfit. They had to use Band-Aids because she kept popping out of her various
Surprised
outfits.
they didn't just resort to staples. Yes.
Originally called Battle Amongst the Stars, but that was apparently too highbrow. They had to bring it back down a little bit.
Well, Battle Beyond the Stars actually has a little
It's
more
alliteration, right?
It's alliteration, yeah, a little more alliterative.
So yeah, more fun, a little bit more enjoyable for me than our first feature.
Yeah.
Again, I realize it's a crappy old movie, but these are fun to watch. I'm not giving it, wildly high buckets, but I'm going to go a little bit higher than I did for the last one. So I'm going to give this one a solid 3 buckets.
We're crisscrossing today because I'm going to give this 2 3/4.
Really? You're going lower.
Down. I was not. It didn't. I want it to be more fun. I feel like there was some opportunity there. It took itself way too seriously. So,
but there's a certain charm to it.
There is. It does take me back to those, watching late night HBO at my grandfather's house.
I love watching these low budget, like all the sets look like TV show sets. Like it's all like Buck Rogers style type, big wide open sets.
Yeah, and the models that are the ships that are clearly models. It's there's a charm to it.
Yeah, I did think it was fun. So I'll go 3. Solid 3.
There you go. I did see Kathy Griffin played an extra alien.
She did. Was she in Akira?
It just says an alien extra. I didn't see her reacting to a spaceship landing. So no, maybe it was during when she landed on the other planet. I don't know. I didn't realize this though. Robert Vaughn was in the Magnificent Seven.
Was he?
And his character Lee is basically the same character as Gelt, and they actually share a lot of the same dialogue. So
talk about no fun. This guy is just brooding throughout the entire movie.
I know, but that's I mean, we talk about, no one can hear you plagiarize in space, but you're just literally taking dialogue from his other movie. Here, you already played this character. You want to play him again? Yeah, okay. All right.
Well, nobody else is asking me to do a movie, so sure.
Apparently not. I did see one of the assistant editors on this movie was only given the part because he played one of the humanoids in Humanoids from the Deep and had such a miserable experience that they offered him the opportunity to work on this as payment.
You put on this helmet and I can't even see the naked actresses that are all around me. Yeah.
Right? Wasn't that also 1980?
Yes, it was. It was. So he must have come right off that into
Corman was a machine.
Yeah.
Just crank these movies out. But yeah, man, that's
all right.
Else. There you go.
So what else did we do this week?
I am 4 episodes into second season of Marvel's What If.
I didn't even realize it was out. So you're way ahead of me on this.
Yeah, I think I'm only aware of it because my son is now home and he's been watching it. We all read comics growing up, and What If was actually a really fun alternative book. Like what if Spider-Man joined the Fantastic Four, or what if the Hulk killed Wolverine? A couple of them actually played out in the MCU because I think one of them was what if Jane Foster became Thor? And that's now become a thing in the comics as well. But the first episode, I will say, you watched the first season, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Yep. So I really like the animation style that's going on. It borders on rotoscoping. It's really clean. They've brought back pretty much all the original actors to voice these characters again. First episode is what if Nebula joined Nova Corps? And so there's a whole Yondu story going on. The third episode was what if Happy Hogan saved Christmas? And it's really kind of a diehard in Avengers Tower, but he somehow gets a formula to change into the Hulk. And I turned to my son and I said, it's a real missed opportunity for someone not to call him Hulk Hogan. And literally, as soon as I said that, Sam Rockwell's Hammer refers to him as Hulk Hogan. I'm like, hey, it's not my favorite episode.
Right. So Hammer is back. Justin Hammer.
Yep.
Oh, I'll watch it for that alone.
Yeah. So there's another one where the Avengers have to fight Peter Quill, but it's Peter Quill from 1988. He's still a kid. Like Yondu turns him over to his dad, and he immediately, gets the celestial powers and comes back to Earth. And so Agent Carter and Howard Stark have to create, they have to build an Avengers, but people from the 80s. And Michael Douglas plays Ant-Man.
Okay.
He's the only one that he doesn't look like Michael Douglas. And I'm like, I wonder if there was like a likeness clause, because all the other ones look just like the actors from the MCU. So I don't know. It's fun. I appreciate it. And I'll keep going. I think it's only 7 or 8 episodes. So that's what I did. What did you do?
I just watched a couple of days ago a movie called The Void, which is on Amazon Prime. I'm always looking at horror and sci-fi movies to watch on any given night. And so this is readily available on Prime. It's a 2017 movie. I knew very little about it going in, and I think even less about it now that I've seen it.
Really?
Yeah. It seemed promising at first. It was just a setup of these people, a handful of people being trapped in an abandoned hospital by what appear to be cult members that are all wearing white robes and triangles on their faces are covered, and they have black triangles on every one of these figures.
Were they the Nestors?
They looked very much like the Nestors, but they all had butcher knives. So whenever you tried to go out, they would attack you. And so the point was, I guess, to keep these people in the hospital. And inside the hospital, it's a very Lovecraftian type story. If you've ever seen From Beyond or Reanimator, it's like a mix up of these things going on. Sorry if anybody's going to be watching this, but one of the characters trapped inside the hospital is kind of like the architect of everything that's going on here. So he's been doing experiments and on people coming back from the dead and alternate realities, and it's very confusing. Eminently watchable because you think it's going somewhere. The setup is really gripping where these people are caught in a hospital. It's almost like a Night of the Living Dead scenario. But then it goes into this other thing that's so hard to follow. And by the time the movie is over, it's like, okay, I know I don't like to be force-fed plots, but this doesn't tell you anything.
Give me something.
So I tried to look online, and there's just conjecture about what this movie is about.
Oh, no.
One person said it's, definitely rewards you with multiple viewings. I don't know if I can go there.
How many times do I have to watch a movie before I appreciate it? But
if anybody out there can explain to me what The Void is about, I would be very open to it. You can email us at tmipodcast2018 at gmail.com.
I'm surprised you fell victim to it. Because Domino's Pizza has always told us to avoid the void. Annoyed the void. Avoid the noid.
So, yes.
Time not well spent. Is that what you're implying?
No, I don't think it was. It seemed to be like it maybe half of the runtime was time well spent, and then the rest of it was not.
I have to give you credit, though, because in this day and age where I'm not renting a movie, I'm not going to Blockbuster and picking it up. And so I feel obliged or obligated to actually watch the whole thing. Like on streaming, if I 20 minutes in, a half an hour in, and I'm like, all right, this is not working, I just change channel.
Yeah, it's true. But like if you're
stuck with it,
if you're it's the same thing. I don't think there's much difference that if you've invested that amount of time into a movie, I want to see it through,
Okay.
But yeah.
Next up, Ishtar next week. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about next week.
No. Are we getting into risque territory next week?
Is it risque? Emma, is it?
I'm hearing that it is. And I'm kind of apprehensive because I hear that Willem Dafoe is in this movie.
Oh, no.
So if his appearance in what was that Viking movie that we watched that was
The Northman.
The Northman. If his appearance in The Northman is any indication of what is in store for us here.
Oh my.
I'm kind of scared. Yeah.
Are we talking Poor Things?
We're talking Poor Things. Yes.
Poor Things.
So this seems to be like a Bride of Frankenstein kind of plot going on. So I figured
hence our pairing.
What better movie to pair this with than an actual Bride of Frankenstein movie? Not the original, mind you, not the 1930s Bride of Frankenstein, but a reimagining from 1985.
Ooh, Top Ride.
Yes. So this is.
I think I've ever seen it.
You've never seen it after all of its HBO airings and what have you?
No, by 85, I was in college. So
this is. Yeah, but you're watching Thundercats in college. Come on, you're not watching
Thundercats. I didn't have HBO in college.
So this is Sting as Frankenstein, as Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein.
So, and his creation is played by Jennifer Beals.
Is it real flesh and blood?
So this is an 80s classic, one of my favorites from the era. Good. And maybe we'll be able to coerce Christina back, given the subject matter of both films. Poor Things and The Bride, plural. Poor Things.
Okay. Ooh, that means there's more of them.
There's more than one.
More than one. Multiple Emma Stones.
I'm hearing that people are actually walking out of this movie because it is so
really
salacious. Yes,
salacious. Oh my! All right. Well, I don't know what I got myself into, but I guess
don't bring Grandma to this one.
we're going to report that there's a bunch of kids in this theater. My 12-year-old loves Emma Stone. We heard Willem Dafoe is going to be in this full frontal nudity. No thanks. I don't need to see your little Green Goblin.
You may be in for it, so we'll see.
Well, there we go. Happy New Year. We are moving forward.
Thanks for listening, as always.
Yes, as always. Enjoy responsibly. Well, it's after New Year's now, so.
And if this is the first time, come back next time.
Yeah, come listen to Poor Things. All right, cool.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
Hey, everybody. If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your favorite podcasts on. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and then share it with your fellow movie nerd friends. It means the world to us and helps our listenership grow.
You can also find us on all of the socials, Instagram and Twitter at TMI_podcast 2018. We're on Facebook and YouTube as well. Just look for the Popcorn Bucket.
You can help support this show by visiting our TeePublic page for some TMI branded goodies such as hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, and stickers. tpublic.com/TMI Confessionals, all one word.
A 5-star review would be incredibly nice as well.
Thanks again for listening. We truly appreciate you. Be sure to come back next week. We'll save some popcorn for you.
Smurf, everybody, Smurf.